Welcome to Women en la Frontera. My name is Brenda Nettle Riojas. On this podcast, I am joined by Lolis Flores as we embark on a conversation about our faith journey. Welcome, Lolis.
Thank you, Brenda, for having me here. It's such a blessing to be accompanying in this podcast, Women en la Frontera. And it's so great that for so many years we've known each other, and now we can, share our faith story, and in hope that many women or community that listens to this podcast can feel closer to God and inspired to have a faith with God and being the number one in his life.
Amen. Now, Lolis, one of the things that I always enjoy spending time with you and talking to you and even collaborating on certain projects is the energy that you bring to a project, an energy and the passion. And on when we talk about Women en la Frontera, we have such a diverse group of women here along the South Texas border, women of all different ages.
Yes.
We started our first two podcasts with my fellow grandmothers, now that I'm a new grandmother, but Ofelia de los Santos and Lidia Pesina. And now you bring a younger flavor to the program. You are 26, going on 27.
Yes.
And let me just tell you, Lolis is quite a talented young woman. She just has her newest album out. It's called En Lo Profundo. And she is also a very active Catholic musician who has traveled into many locations in the United States and in Mexico, particularly participating with Cielo Abierto. And you'll hear more about that as we continue our conversation. She also has an apostolate.
Yes.
¿Cómo se llama?
El Ejercito Mariano.
So basically Mary's Army.
Yes.
Praying the Rosary on social media for how long now?
For 4 years.
4 years every night at 10 o'clock. She might be going home from somewhere, but she will go live at 10 a.m. 10 p.m.
Yes.
Normally you do it at home because you have your guitar and you
Right,
sing. Tell
yes.
us a little bit about how you became involved in that.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful story. 4 years ago, I started my music ministry, doing it professionally. When I started singing at church, it was 2014. That's when I had an encounter with the Lord, and throughout a spiritual retreats. I mean, I could say that I was a Catholic, born into a Catholic family, but we would never practice our faith. I would always remember going to Mass on Sundays when I was small, but it wasn't until when I turned 18 years that I had some friends that invited me back to church. So it was beautiful to come in and, feel really welcomed, because when I was little, we would go to a parish called Our Lady of Guadalupe in Matamoros. That's where I lived. At 18 years old, they invited me to Our Lady of Guadalupe parish in Brownsville. So I felt really welcomed by our mother. Like she was telling me, come to my son, come to his arms. And that's how I felt when I went in that parish. And it was a really special moment, because I know our mother has, since I was very little, has accompanied me. And now saying yes to this ministry that's praying the Rosary every night with a lot of people, that come together, more than, I don't want to brag, but it's a big amount, more than 100,000 people following the page, and they come to the live. And some people say, I wasn't even expecting to pop up this live on my Facebook feed, and when I clicked on it, it's a prayer, it's a rosary. So I'm thankful, and those are the many just small conversaciones or like stories that people have shared. But I started it because I watched a young couple on my Instagram account doing a live praying the Rosary in Latin. That was 4 years ago that I saw that live, and it inspired me. It touched my heart. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like them. And I started telling my friends in the community where I served, but they didn't feel the calling. And I think it was a personal calling from God and from our mother for me to start doing that ministry, praying the Rosary in social media. One day we were having a prayer night. It was a Marian Day celebration, and I was so inspired because we had prayed the Rosary in a community, and I was driving home, and I felt it in my heart, for me to start doing it. So I got home. I didn't have any equipment. I didn't even have, something to hold my phone. I remember putting shoe boxes one on top of the other, and then portarretrato, to hold my phone. And I went to my Facebook page and I pressed the live stream. And I remember I started it. I was shaking because I didn't know. It was my first time being live. I was shaking. I remember I did that rosary. The intentions were for the youth, for the conversion of the youth in our Catholic church, in our Catholic faith, and in the whole world. And then it stopped. the live stream ministry stopped in the middle of the creed, and that could have been for me to say, you know what, I give up. This is not my thing. I tried it. It doesn't work. But it wasn't like that. It was, I went again. I went on the live stream again, and I finished it. And it was my family at first that would join, but after I released my first single, when I recorded my music professionally that year, 2018, 4 years ago, that's when I started the fan page. That's what they call it on Facebook. And I told my whole family and the people who were already connecting to my live streams, that I was going to do it in a page where they could share it with, because it was public page. So it went from there. They started sharing, people started joining, and one day I was reading a quote from Pope Sixth, I think, where he said in Spanish, "Denme un ejército que rece el rosario y con él conquistaré al mundo." Give me an army that prays the rosary, and with that army of people, I would conquer the world. For me, that was really powerful, because I was like, wow, that's all it takes.
That's what you were doing.
Yes. So that's all it takes. So I started calling them Ejercito Mariano at the live stream, Mary's Army, and they took it as, their name. So now they're like, I'm Ejercito Mariano, I'm here, I'm praying the rosary.
You started a movement for
yes,
Jesus.
So, yes, it was a movement for Jesus para incorporar el rezo del Santo Rosario, so people can know this prayer and the many blessings that come with, grabbing our mother's hand.
And
you've
seen them, because people respond. I mean, I'm just amazed at some of the stories. People coming back to church. It takes you back to when you were 18 and someone invited you to Mass. You're inviting people to know Mary, who brings us to her Son. Tell us of some of the stories.
Yeah, so I remember one of the first conversions that I heard, that I got in, they messaged me on my Facebook page, was this young guy. He had no idea. He had never maybe prayed the rosary before, but he was Catholic when he was small, and growing up, he became an atheist. And he said that he was scrolling through Facebook, and my live feed just popped in his Facebook account. So he clicked on it. He went in, and there was something. I know it was the Holy Spirit, acting through the prayer, and he felt it in his heart. I want to go back. I want to go back to where it all began, to where he felt happy, maybe he felt the peace, the love of God that he hadn't felt for so many years, maybe, and he me compartió eso, he shared that with me, and it was beautiful to see, wow, the Lord is working through, and I think that the important thing is to be open to the Lord, whatever gifts he blesses us with, to have that openness with the Holy Spirit. Many people have like a challenge where I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know where the Lord is taking me. I feel like lost.
And you have felt that
yourself. Yes, I have. And I think all of us have, in a certain point of our lives. But I think that during your youth years, that's when you feel it the most, because that's when you're like barely starting life, like occupation, college, and then starting your career, and you feel like that. So for that young guy to tell me, through your rosary or through your prayer, the Lord touched my heart to come back to the church and, start figuring out what the Lord wants with my life and how can I use my gifts. And so I think it's just como es una invitación. It's an invitation for all that are listening to give your gifts to the Lord. And you never know what amazing things he's gonna do with your yes. And that yes comes from Mary. I see her as a model. She inspired me to say yes to the Lord and say, Señor, aquí estoy para hacer tu voluntad.
Let's talk about that yes, because it is amazing for a young adult, 26, to be really walking that faith journey and inviting others to their faith and to love Mary and to love Christ. But before you said your yes, tell us a little bit about that part.
Right. So, like I said, I grew up in a Catholic family. I was blessed with my parents and with my brother and sister. I am the second child of 3. They've been the best. They've always, todos los valores nos han instruido a que siempre le pidamos a Dios y que siempre estemos con Él. Pero nunca practicábamos nuestra fe. O sea, nunca servíamos a Dios en realidad. We didn't serve the Lord. Y pues yo crecí así. Viví en Matamoros, nací en Brownsville, viví en Matamoros por mis primeros 9 años. My first 9 years I lived in Mexico in Matamoros. And my mom decided to come here to the States so we could have an education here, because we were born here and we had to have that opportunity, right? That they didn't have. So she came. My dad took a little while to understand and to come to terms to leave everything behind in Matamoros and come with us to be with his family, because he had a stable job. So it was hard for him. And throughout the years here, well, we were focused on our education. Since 9 years old to 18 years old, I don't remember my faith at all. Like, I don't remember going to church anymore, because we were so involved in getting to a new city, our education, and a lot of stuff. And I know my parents as well, through all these changes. And so I grew up like that, just going to school and living my life. But I always felt like I was missing something, and I didn't know how to fill that hole in my heart, or that thing I was missing. I was looking for love in so many different places. Like you would go out with your friends, and but nothing would work. And even though I had my family around, their love, I always felt empty. And I always say, like, I don't feel like I was in a depression, as you could say, like the name depression, but there was some early depression there. And I was a dancer, been dancing my whole life from
I
2
didn't
years
know
old.
that.
Yes.
I'm discovering something new.
From 2 years old to 18 years old. But then I had knee surgery, because I messed up my knee dancing. So I had to have knee surgery. And I always thought I was gonna be a dancer as a profession. I thought I was gonna be a dancer professionally. When that dream, cut short, I relied to my singing, because I love music. I've always been like really artistic. So when I was 15 years old, that's when I realized that I could sing. I joined a mariachi in my high school. For our final exam, we had to sing a song and play at the same time, because I was learning guitar. And that's where my professor said, you could sing. And he started teaching me for 2 years, my last 2 years of high school. And I loved it. I loved it. So then I started dreaming that I wanted to be a singer. And I started going to reality TV shows and doing all the things that I could do. ¿Cómo se dicen? Sí, pues iba audicionar, sí, audicionar, perdón, audition. I would audition anywhere, any place they had a TV show that I could do something, because I thought I was going to become this big star, and I was going to sing around the world. But those were not the plans of our Lord for my life. And I fell down. So I experienced rechazo a lot when I tried doing that, going to TV shows. Me rechazaban, rechazo tras rechazo tras rechazo. Y vení con un corazón que ya se sentía solo, que ya se sentía como que nadie la quería. O sea, venir, rechazada muchas veces. Yo ya llegué a un punto donde yo le dije a mis papás, saben que yo no voy a cantar. Like, I'm never singing again. This is not working. So I don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
Well, because it's natural to get discouraged when you face rejection,
right?
As you were saying. And so
so after that, I was really discouraged. But the Lord came in the perfect time to my life, because that's when I went to this spiritual retreat. And there I found the love I was missing. I found a new calling to serve the Lord with my music ministry, with my voice. I could sing to him. And if you would have asked me 4 years ago or 8 years ago that I took my retreat, that where I would be where I am now, and I would do the things I am doing right now, to release an album and have your own music out there, and when people hear your music, they feel the love of God. I had never imagined that would happen in my life. And it's really surprising. And the Lord works in mysterious ways and in beautiful ways. And I always give thanks to the Lord, because, I did experience his love in that retreat, but also I wanted for my family to experience that as well. Because I know if I felt that way, a little lonely, like I didn't know what to do with my life, I wanted them to feel, the love of God as well, because each one of us has our different struggles. We really don't know what you're struggling with, Brenda, or anybody else, in their lives. And everybody has a struggle. So I started praying for my family. I started praying for them that first year, 2014 to 2015. I remember telling the Lord, and I would get home and I would tell them, I come to the church, serve with me, because I was already serving in a ministry and in a youth ministry and singing. And well, they were okay, or they would go to mass on Sundays with me, but they wouldn't make the effort to actually serve and participate. Thanks to God, praise be to God, that my brother was gonna get married soon during that year, and he had to take the retreat as part of their preparation for their marriage. And my brother, he had struggled with cigarro, smoking. He would drink. He was only 2 years older than me, so he was going through that crazy time in the young life where he was lost, and I knew he was lost because I could see it. I could see it. He would get home really bad, and he was just he was struggling, and he would work in a bar. All these things that he's struggling, but he doesn't know where to go, or
Right. How to find a way
how to
out.
find a way out. Porque obviamente todo es bueno con medida, ¿no? O sea, yo no estoy en contra de eso, pero todo con medida. Y él tenía una vida descontrolada. Entonces, he goes to the retreat. He takes that retreat. He has an encounter with Jesus. My brother went in, and he came out as a totally different person. He left everything behind. He said, nada, ya. O sea, mi vida es para Dios.
So a lot of people are going to be asking as they're listening to it, what retreat was that? Because
Right.
if it transformed your life and then your brother's life.
Right. And not only my brother, my cuñada, después my mom, my sister, my dad, they had the opportunity, my friends, my tios, everybody in my family, they had this. They took this retreat, and it made us change our perspective. Because before we would say, I know God, but I don't think I need him in my life, and now it's the total opposite. Lord, I cannot do anything without you. Like, I need you. You're the center of my life. And, that's what the Lord does in our lives. He redirects our eyes to what really matters.
Well put. Absolutely. And I know this is a podcast, and eventually we will start doing some video, but if I wish people could see the joy in your face, in your smile, in your whole person. There's just a joy that's emanating, and it's from that relationship that you have with the Lord.
Yes, and it was beautiful. Y hay una palabra de Dios en Hechos que dice, cree en el Señor y tú y tu casa serán salvos. Es cuando Pablo y Silas estaban presos en la cárcel, empezaron a alabar a Dios, ¿no? Y todas las cadenas y las puertas se abrieron, y el carcelero tenía mucho miedo porque todos estaban sueltos, todos los presos. De repente él se despierta y ve a todo esto, y él se va a suicidar, y le dice, no lo hagas, no lo hagas, y corre, ¿qué debo hacer?, dice él. Y San Pablo le dice, cree en el Señor y tú y tu casa serán salvos. Entonces yo tomo esa palabra de San Pablo, palabras guiadas por el Señor, muy a pecho, porque yo decidí creerle a Dios. Yo le dije que sí a Dios, y mira todo lo que hizo, ¿no? La conversión de mi familia, de mis amigos, de mis seres queridos, y saber que Dios actúa de esas maneras. Que si lo puede hacer conmigo, lo puede hacer contigo también, con la persona que está escuchando, porque Dios obra maravillas. Pero
De veras que sí. Y porque la vida no es tan fácil. I mean, I'm sure that even now that you are on your faith journey, that you are ever growing closer and dependent on the Lord for everything, there's still some challenges. How
Right.
do you maintain that faith in the day-to-day challenges?
It's I could say, if I didn't have God in my life, I would probably not be here. I don't know, estaría perdida. Todavía seguiría tal vez perdida y preguntándome qué voy a hacer, no sé qué hacer, escondiendo mis heridas, pero ahora estoy segura. I'm 100% sure that my life is in God's hands. And whatever happens in my life, I'm going to be open to what He wants to do with my life. Even if it's a sickness, if it's algo que sucede, una dificultad, cualquier cosa, que me llegue a sentir mal, porque no creas que ya le dije sí al Señor, ya estoy súper bien, no me va a pasar nada, estoy. No, porque hay momentos todavía de desierto espiritual que llegan donde no sientes a Dios para nada y te sientes triste, lloras y no sabes qué hacer, pero estás segura que aún en esos momentos de dificultad y aún que te sientes como te sientas, que la paz de Dios y la presencia de Dios está ahí contigo. Y que también he aprendido que Dios se hace aún más presente en los momentos difíciles, porque Él comparte la cruz, Él comparte su dolor con nuestro dolor. Entonces, yo siempre digo a los que están enfermos, a los que están pasando por un momento difícil, sí, vive el momento, vive tu depresión, vive tu enfermedad, vive lo que está sucediendo en tu vida difícil, pásalo y llora y pídele a Dios, pero también date cuenta de la bendición tan grande que estás pasando porque Jesús quiere compartir contigo un poco de ese dolor. Y ahora yo me he visto y me gusta pensarlo de esta manera, que nuestras enfermedades, a veces Dios las permite porque la permite para no solamente la salvación de nuestra alma, para purificar nuestra alma, pero cuando nosotros ofrecemos nuestra enfermedad a Dios, decirle, Señor, aquí está mi enfermedad, aquí está mi depresión, aquí está mi problema, te lo ofrezco por la salvación de otra persona. Entonces, últimamente yo he tenido mucho eso en mente de lo que yo vivo, si me llega a pasar cualquier cosa, Señor, yo te lo ofrezco por la salvación de aquellos que no te conocen, por la salvación de aquel corazón que se siente triste, que se siente. Entonces, a eso ya cambia tu mente, le da dirección como una, sí, pues dirección a lo que tú estás pasando en tu vida, ¿no? Ya no solamente dices, ay, estoy enferma, me está pasando esto, sino voy a utilizar esta enfermedad para ofrecérsela a Dios para que otra persona pueda encontrarse con Él. Una dirección tiene un porqué, ya hay un porqué, ya no nada más sufres o pasas por esa situación sin decir la tengo que pasar porque la tengo que pasar, sino la voy a pasar, pero la voy a ofrecer para otras personas.
Qué hermoso. I mean, esa tranquilidad que viene cuando se lo ofreces a Dios.
Sí.
There is definitely that peace when you offer up your suffering for others.
Yes, for others.
Because we will live those moments.
Yes.
We
and
will live the
they will
joys and we
happen.
will live the sorrows.
Yes.
But when we can offer them up, I'm just amazed at how the transformation that you have undertaken in your young years. I mean, it's taken me a lot longer. As I listen to you, I'm just in awe of how you have let the Lord just, es una entrega.
Entrega.
Una
Sí,
entrega
total.
completamente.
Sí. Sí, una entrega completamente a Dios. Y el saber también que los tiempos de Dios son perfectos. A mí tal vez me tomó a esta corta edad, a ti, Brenda, tal vez sucedió en otra edad. Mis padres, pues también ellos apenas hace 8 años, ¿no? Entonces, y también hay que confiar en Dios a eso, de decir, bueno, por ejemplo, yo sirvo a Dios, pero mi esposo o mi hermano o mi hijo No. Bueno, sigue orando por ellos. Los tiempos de Dios son perfectos y en el tiempo que Dios permita y que también el corazón de esa persona esté dispuesto, porque tú puedes decirle, te puedo decir a ti, I can tell you, Brenda, come to church with me, or have an encounter with me, or let's go to adoration, let's go. But if your heart is not open to living that moment or going to mass, or, the Lord can't act on a closed heart. Yes, I know he works miracles and he works on, como transforma corazones, pero también hay la disponibilidad. Obviamente, tú vas a orar por esa persona para que su corazón poco a poco se vaya abriendo, pero también hay que confiar que los tiempos de Dios son perfectos y seguir orando. Nunca parar de orar por la conversión de otros. Y sí, siempre la oración es muy poderosa.
Ya me diste como 12 nuevas ideas de temas para mi columna. You've given me some great ideas for future columns. I mean, so much to take in. What advice do you have for young adults? Right now, we are living in difficult times, and there are a lot of young adults, as you said, who are lost. And what a joy that you are praying for them, and we invite others to pray for others to know Christ. But what advice would you give to?
I would say just open your heart. And it's hard to say that because, well, to to a young person who maybe hasn't had an encounter with the Lord, that he has never probably even gone to mass. But give yourself the opportunity, because the Lord does beautiful things with our lives, and he has a purpose. He has a purpose. He has a purpose for you. He has a purpose for your life. He has a purpose for your life. Entonces, just be open, take the risk, as you can say, open your heart. And for those who already serve the Lord and don't know what else to do, write down your gifts. Many people think that only like the singing, those who give the que hablan, que dan como temas, que no sé,
Speakers.
sí, speakers, the important gifts that everybody knows, those are the ones that count. And it doesn't work like that. I remember in my community, there was this young people, person who would open the door, right? You would walk in for a prayer every Tuesday, and she would have this big smile and this big energy. She would welcome us, and she would say, she had the perfect words for she was very welcoming. She would always smile, and I was like, that's a gift. That's She's using her gift right then and there. And that it could sound or hear like it's a really small gift, and quien lo nota, but it changes a lot the perspective. Someone who's really inviting the walk, you walk in somewhere and they're like, welcome, so I would say even the small gifts, there's people who are really good at listening. There's people who help others with the charity. There's a lot of gifts where you can serve, and you can work them to serve the Lord and to the most of His glory. But yeah, I would say, and my concrete action to my prayer life, because I think that's really important. Straining your prayer life. My number one always is constant communion with the Lord. It could be hard sometimes, but we have 24 hours in a day. You can take 30 minutes. I could say at least 15 minutes. Mass, if possible, daily. That's the most important, obviously. Adoration, I could say at least 15 minutes. 15 minutes, I think it's a really good minimum time, because you could have una plática con el Señor, ¿no? O sea, estar ahí con Él, acompañarlo. 15 minutos, 15 minutes. And from my personal experience, the Rosary has changed my life completely. It's a powerful prayer that, has strengthened my prayer life a lot. And it has given me so much peace. And I think the peace that I experience today is the peace of knowing that our Mother Mary is with me and Jesus is walking beside me. I saw this image of a little girl holding Jesus with one right hand, holding the rosary in Mary's hand on the left side and walking, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel in my spiritual life, because it's really important, 2 columns, and that you can have in your life that can strengthen your life. But praying the rosary has changed my life completely. I know for those who have prayed the rosary once could experience this in their life. So it's been beautiful to say yes to the Lord, to be open to the Lord, what He wants to do with our lives.
Lolis, it has been a real joy to talk to you today and hear more about your story. Thank you for sharing and for opening up about your journey, and for witnessing, and for the ministry that you have, and helping to bring others to Christ and to the Lord, and enriching them through the rosary on social media. It's much needed. It's been a real joy, and so we're gonna leave our listeners with some of your music. What would be one of your favorite songs that we can close out the program with?
I think what would be best would be the first song, En Lo Profundo. It talks about those hard times that I did have, but knowing that His peace, His love was accompanying me the whole time. And I believe in a God that heals. I believe in a God that's powerful, and I know that nothing is impossible to Him. He says it in His word. So yeah, that's the message in this song, especially.
Absolutely. So
En lo profundo.
we're going to close with that program. And so until next time, thank you for joining us today on Women in la Frontera. Until next time, let's go and use the gifts God has given us to set the world on fire with God's love and grace.
En lo profundo de mi soledad, es tu presencia que me trae la paz. Es tu poder que viene a sanar cualquier tristeza que en mi alma pueda habitar. En lo profundo de mi soledad, es tu presencia que me trae la paz. Es tu poder que viene a sanar cualquier tristeza que en mi alma pueda habitar. Eres un Dios sanador, eres un Dios de poder, y no hay nada que no puedas hacer.